I actually think it would have been...
Welcome to
Money!
a tier list, baby. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Well, so...
In a while.
First one of the year, I technically no, because the New Year's one, obviously that came out in 2025, but that was... What was that? That was...
And we recorded it into this year as well. So
exactly. But it was also Doctor Who episodes. However, it was still much better than it should have been. I think we both agree on that. We did a surprisingly good job, and I think that's because that was a combination of I think there's a lucidity that comes with tiredness, or a truthfulness, and sort of less need to mull over one's thoughts. It's almost like, even though you're kind of muddier, when it comes to like just general function and like, I guess especially like things like problem solving, like actual figuring things out. But this isn't figuring things out. There was no real need to like figure out where we stood on anything. So it went by pretty well. However, that
so
wasn't
basically
a deep rock tier
today,
list.
because we're not doing this at midnight, we're going to take ages and go over all of our thoughts for each and every DLC.
Yeah, but when you say each and every, you make it sound like there's a disgusting amount.
It's quite a few.
It's a good amount. There's a good amount.
With DLCs, games really only go one way or the other. They either have a couple, like bigger content ones, or there are hundreds of tiny micro ones. And Deep Rock is a weird middle ground.
It is a weird middle. Well, because I feel like the one that you just mentioned, though, the hunt, that's a very MMO thing, though, isn't it? Really.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah. So Deep Rock is technically a purely cosmetic tier list. Yeah. A purely cosmetic DLC situation. Except, and someone will bring it up to like, what about the soundtracks? They're on the DLC. They're on the DLC page. Yeah. Well, guess what, fucker? Why would we rank the soundtracks as part of it? Exactly. Well, first of all, they're on Spotify. Also, second of all, if anyone spots the little detail I put into the tier list, that would be pretty cool. I'll fuck it. I'll spoil it. Actually, the S is a $sign. It's just a $sign.
Wow.
Yeah.
It took a real sharp detective eye to notice that.
It's but it's small enough where the details aren't like too crisp, so it's actually not that hard to see. Not that easy to see. Fucking hell. Anyway, so why are we doing a DLC tier list? Well, first of all, it's one that we haven't done, but I don't think anyone's done it either. And I don't think that's because it's not worth doing. Either. I think DLCs are important. In Deep Rock's case, they represent a big way that you can show support, but also, I guess, enhance the game. So there is a value component here as well. In fact, the value component will hopefully be the thing that sets this aside the most. A bit of a bang for your buck, if you will. You know, if you're looking for something to buy for your partner for Valentine's Day, use this as a useful guide for in 364 days. In 364.
Already gone, yeah.
On that note, if you do have a partner who is like a Deep Rock fan as well as you, hold on tight. This is serious. This is serious shit. Hold on to that.
Yeah. I've heard of people playing it with their kids, which obviously that implies they had a partner.
Yeah, my uncle.
They play with a couple. Yeah.
Hello, Edward. I shouldn't say names.
Edward.
Oh well. All right, let's move on. Let's move on from that.
Yeah, but basically, it is essentially like the cosmetic tier list, but the twist is, it's going to have, this is good, but is it worth the price?
Well, that tier list, obviously, that was just headgear. This covers a lot of ground in sort of these DLCs as larger packages. In some cases, when we start something like the supporter, and we might as well bring it into the interview. Supporter, put it in holding station, and of course, show it off. Hold on. Why is it not working?
We'll get there.
Oh, I know why. All right, it's fine. There we go. There it is. Yeah, it's basically a donation pack. Hold on, where is actually the price listed? There, £11.39. Very good.
Yeah. Portal ones are a bit more expensive because they that's the point. You're paying to support them more, which is originally this is the first DLC,
It
right?
is
That's
the
the point.
first
We're starting
DLC.
chronological.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to
So
assume like Survivor got literally Survivor doesn't have cosmetics, but it does have a supporter pack, and all that buying it does, it adds like a toggle in the setting for like to make all the dwarves gold. So I think it's safe to say the supporter pack is really built into Deep Rock's DNA for some reason, which means I think there will definitely be one on Rokor's launch if Rokor has DLCs, which be bemused if it didn't. But yeah, it is the first pack, the first DLC pack. Well, it's called the supporter upgrade, of course, not the supporter pack. Chances are we'll call it the supporter pack. I think it's probably what we call it anyway. So yeah, it is slightly more expensive than all the others, and it's supposed to bring a. Also, I can see how it's automatically going through the
I
screenshots.
thought you were just doing it.
I'm not doing that.
Really
That's not
well.
me. That's not me.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that. I'm hoping that it's going to go back to the video and play that again as well, and then it just So it is slightly more expensive, but it obviously is meant to bring like a certain level of luxury, shall we say, to the game, to the weapons, to the armor, in the form of golden skins and other things like a mug and a helmet. The obviously the skeleton crew helmet. But the supporter has actually been I think it's been a bit of a point of contention for some people for a while, because it's it's one of the earliest examples of when Deep Rock's like artistic sensibilities are actually quite frustrating. I think we can already bring up a weird like point of contention, because those weapons are not pure gold, are they? And for some people, and I think we are included, that's kind of a problem. I think this is a weird aspect of some of the DLCs, and I do mean some of them really nail it, some of them really don't, where you're looking at a paid product that isn't really maximizing on the concept that you're paying for. You're paying for gold weapons, but they're kind of mostly brown.
Yeah, and I definitely think back then it was kind of alright. Like, I remember using the supporter a fair amount back when that was like really the only DLC, but now it just doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
Right? Well, if you want golden stuff, this isn't actually the best way of getting golden, other than like on armor, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the best look. Yeah, I mean, I think the armor is where it doesn't fail, but even then, there isn't there is an aspect of like when it's something like this. It's like a donation pack. It's like a special DLC that represents the launch of the game, basically in early access, of course. I think it's fair to expect something like a really like pure gold approach. Just layer everything in gold, and they just for some reason were inhibited about it. And I think there is an inhibition that you can see across a lot of them, and it kind of starts here. I don't think the armors fail. I think they do it mostly right in that obviously some materials aren't gold, but like the primary parts and like the metal parts are. I think the armors are fine. I think Gunner's pretty interesting. But then again, it's still like not pure gold because they throw in like some weird like emerald parts,
but I actually quite like those bits.
No, it's like they're nice, but there is, for me, what I would want a supporter pack to be, a supporter upgrade, is something that's very like pure. It's just like gold. It's just like gold.
Oh.
But
you and like you would have a gold skin, and then we would have had gold hair color, and you could have just made like golden dwarves.
Yeah, well, we do have a hair color that works with the gold though. The ginger is quite golden, the one that we got a while ago.
But like golden texture, like shine.
Yeah, it would have been. It would be awesome.
Nice.
Supporter pack 3.
Yeah, maybe in like. Wait, is it 4 or 3 years? Are we on the 7th?
Oh god, it's the 7th. It's the 7th this year. Yeah, so.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yes, probably another 3 years.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be one.
When Spider-Verse comes out.
Oh my god. I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense for you to bring up. You brought it up yesterday, and the year 2028. Yeah. So obviously when Elder Scrolls 6 will finally be revealed. If not out.
Yeah, true. I thought it was like soon. I genuinely thought we could start expecting it soon. I don't know why.
The game soon? I don't think so. I think 2028 is actually a reasonable release. No, let's not talk about that.
Point is, don't get your hopes up for Supporter 3.
No. So I guess the question is obviously it's slightly frustrating that the weapons are like mostly brown, but is it still a good
Weapons are
skin?
weak. The
Yeah, it's
pickaxe
not that
is kind of
strong anymore.
negligible.
Hmm.
Like it's good, but it's the pickaxe. Mug is unique, right? There's only 2 DLCs that do
Well,
mugs.
exactly. We do have the mug and we do have the helmet, and those two things I can't
And
really.
also,
I think are purely
um,
positives, right?
the little pickaxe next to your name,
Yeah,
the badge at the end there, that was pretty cool. Whenever you'd bump into other people with those on, and
yeah.
like having that
It's
on,
pretty
like
ubiquitous now, and I do feel like, and this is going to be more brought up for the second one. I do feel like Supported 2 should have perhaps introduced a different one, maybe.
yeah,
And I would have loved badges to be more of a thing in general, but that's neither here nor there. Either way, I think the helmet and the mug represent like purely like are very good parts of it though. And honestly, the mug and the helmet and honestly the icon are a lot of its like novelty.
the main appeal of supporter in comparison to the DLCs, right? Like
Yes.
because the DLCs, they'll just do a gun or an armor or a bit of both. Like
Well, obviously,
this is
armor
the
means
extra.
helmet too, but this is a helmet that is more like it's more specific to it being a supporter upgrade rather than it being
Yeah, and I
like
quite
it
like the
rather
helmet
than
as
it
well.
being uniform with the rest.
Oh.
If there was a gold version, right, that would be awesome. But it's there to be like their logo turned into a helmet. It's not there to be just exact like the same
Yeah.
a helmet based on what's in the rest of the DLC. So it does have a unique value to it, and so does the mug and
I think this
the badge.
was generally before they had a concrete idea of like they just said gold, right? But it's like outside of that, they were like, oh, let's give them a badge and a pint and a helmet. I don't know. I think at this point, it's like it is solid. It has aged poorly, I would say. If you want a golden look, you could go elsewhere, and you wouldn't be too worse off. Um, like I think even within the game for free, I'm not sure on that though. But
Yeah, there's also the element of like the pricing where it's like that extra price. You could say that this DLC in some ways doesn't quite match the others, but they are in a sense like they're very directly acknowledging what it is, right? So this is a donation. So whether or not you think it's
yeah, but
worth
the
it
thing
is kind of based on whether the thing is that you might also want the stuff and you might not want to pay that much for it. You might not.
the thing is I feel like all the DLCs are that, right? Like, sure, these are ones that say supporter specifically. Like, it's really only the couple extra quid that is the supporter part. Like, but
Yeah.
like, I feel like just every DLC is them being like, I mean, it would be nice if we could get a bit more money. Would be nice.
They really are though, because it's not that we necessarily wouldn't for any of them. That's probably not 100% true. I think there is at least one that I don't think you would have bought if you weren't compelled to, because I think we are in a stage where it's like, well, we kind of just got to get these at this point, don't we? We just got to keep the train going.
We want every cosmetic we could get.
Yeah, because what it is, it's a good way to show support, because I think they've even said when people are like, I want more ways to give money to you. It's just like, oh, well, buy the game as a gift, and it's just like you could do that if it made sense, like contextually, for Valentine's Day perhaps. But as far as the DLCs go, even if we're not the biggest fan of them, it's still a really good way to like. It's a really good excuse to give these guys some money because we're still going to get something out of it. So the support upgrade from that perspective, it almost makes less sense from like a consumer perspective who still wants to show support, because it's just like, I'm not buying this because I want to give them even more money than the other DLCs. That's not really why I'm buying it. I'm buying it because it's like I do want to give them a bit better money, but I also want whatever's in it at the same time. So I think it's like a B, but maybe a C.
Yeah,
I don't think the
B.
drawbacks are C. Yeah, I think probably B. I think. I don't think
you get a bit more than other DLCs at a bit higher a price. They're pretty upfront about it being mainly just to help them more than it is for you.
Yeah. But I think it's the nature of the stuff that carries over to other DLCs, like the paint jobs that have aged the worst and hold the least weight nowadays in comparison to what's available. You know, so yeah, that's the supporter upgrade. B tier, very good. Now we move on to definitely where the formula starts to come into play, but the MegaCorp, we're not going to rank them at the same time, but MegaCorp and Dark Future were added at the same time. And this was, I actually can't remember if it was for 1.0 or for Endgame. I think it's for Endgame when they first added overclocks. I'm fairly certain. Actually, no, I can tell. Release date May 2020. So MegaCorp and Dark Future came out with the 1.0 release, but they clearly used this opportunity to establish a formula because they're literally the two types of DLC.
Yeah.
But they came out at the same time. So yeah. And we start with MegaCorp, which is our first framework DLC. But MegaCorp, as you're kind of seeing, I think obviously framework is kind of its own thing, and we'll get into that, whether or not it's a DLC worthy framework. But MegaCorp, I think, kind of nails it in a way. I don't know if you agree.
I think
we've got our standard pricing introduced here as well, which is $5.99.
Yeah, very good price.
Very good price.
Well, I mean, you know, some people would say for a cosmetic in a game that's absurd, but you know, support them. Like, if you're willing to give them money, does this feel like you're getting what you pay for?
Yeah.
And I think, yeah. I mean, the paint job, I don't think I've ever used that on anything.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit weird because I think the paint jobs are actually very strong, to be honest.
Really? I mean,
they're not flashy.
I've never used them on armor. They're like, I've never seen any of those looks.
I think it's a lovely armor paint job. So I think it's just clearly just a bit of a taste difference here as well, because I think that's what
it's not even notable. Like, it's like what, a bit of black, a bit of white.
I think it's a really nice black and sort of like a nice metallic like grey as well. And obviously, you know, this is kind of limited by the armors being shown. I think it has a lot of breadth and flexibility, and I think the weapon paint job is very nice. I think the stark white and black is a good look that doesn't really come up too often. Basically, I do think it's I do think it's still a full package.
The strength definitely does reside in the framework though. Like those frameworks, I do quite like. They're on some of my best builds looks.
Yeah,
like
it was obviously the first DLC framework, and I think it was really, frameworks up to this point had been mostly mostly forced color kind of stuff. Not entirely, but it was sort of like Cliffy Trophy Hunter, Fourth Relic, obviously forced colors. But even like mechanized and custom engineered some of the wiring parts. Actually, I think mechanized was pretty pure.
All of them, they just kind of like added a little bit.
It was like that kind of additions. Fourth Relic changes the shape pretty substantially sometimes, but yeah, this was like these are
what it needs to. But these are changes.
Yeah.
These are reshaping like the weapon, which. Yeah, I think at this point in time, these were good, and I still think they hold up. In being like like the problem is they were going for like a military thing, right? MegaCorp, they're going for like a factory.
I think it's very corporate like, military though. I think obviously it's like it's
like you'd be a security guard in like a cyberpunk factory or some shit.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That
like, kind of. It's like what's military police almost. It's like it's more corporate. It's more mass produced. But that's not like when they do a lot of stuff like that. You know, like the Drac is literally a weapon that's based on that concept. It's like this thing was just so cheap to produce. It's still a really good design though. It does not mean like it's like a deliberately bad design. The designs look like things that are easy to manufacture, but it's still that's the point. That's why they're so uniform as well, right? Because it's like it's almost the same pieces just made over and over again to make these things, but it works wonderfully. I think, especially like that. Look at that. The GK2, I think, is fantastic in this. I don't know if you agree.
I find some of them quite funny as well, though. The M1000, the boomstick, just look fucking hilarious.
They are kind of funny, but I think some of them look great, like the minigun. Yeah, but I think the boomstick still looks good. I like it. I like that it's just a big brick. I
bloody love the Thunderhead. That's what I was thinking of when, like, my favorite build is like I use a different framework from a different DLC. We'll get to that. but it is a MegaCorp. Paint job is what I meant. I used the MegaCorp framework in like a blocky dude, and it just looks good.
Yeah,
good as shit.
That's very fair. I mean, I feel kind of weird. It's probably my least favorite one in the pack, which is kind of odd. And obviously, there's even more. It's like we're at the stage where not all the weapons are in the game yet as well. That didn't change anything.
Yeah.
These DLCs, their value only increased. So I think MegaCorp. Obviously, I know you don't think the paint jobs are too special, but I still think this is a decent concept, and it delivers fully. So I think this is A or B. If B's like for not,
I think A.
Yeah, I think A's fair.
Definitely an
I think
A.
we're going for like if we're talking about value as well a little bit. I think A's pretty fair. Okay, let's bring that fella in. I actually didn't move it into view beforehand, but anyway, there is MegaCorp A, and that means next up is its kind of brother, because we do need to talk about one aspect of MegaCorp and Dark Future combined, which is it's the Bosco pickaxe situation, because there is a Bosco pickaxe situation. It's not huge. I don't think it's actually going to affect the ranking, to be honest, but I still think it's worth bringing up because it's like Dark Future doesn't have a pickaxe paint job, but MegaCorp doesn't have a Bosco paint job, and I don't know why they chose to do that, because I think both would be nice to have, like a pure black pickaxe, and I think the MegaCorp Bosco would be neat as well. Either way, I don't think that's a big hit, because I don't think we certainly don't value, I don't think we value the pickaxes enough for it to bring it down now. It's not going to bring MegaCorp down in retrospect. It's not.
The pickaxe Boscos, they're not significant enough to think about. I think, and like
I don't think they're part of why you buy it.
A Bosco framework, or a pickaxe framework.
There is one Bosco framework later on, but I think the point is they're not dictating why you buy it, are they? They're not making you buy it. Yeah,
they're just additional bits. And I do think, looking at it, I forgot how just unparalleled Dark Future was.
Dark Future's got it's got the Riz.
Yeah, there's not a single element of Dark Future which falls behind the rest. Because in that build I mentioned a second ago, like, this is the helmet I use. Because it's a really fucking good helmet.
I think the full face helmet's great, but then even the half face is like it doesn't look it in these honestly in these clips. I think the half face doesn't look as good, but my mascot uses it, the half face.
Yeah, he does.
So that tells you something, and it's also just such like classic, brilliant, like futuristic, like neon armor. It's also a good example, another example of something that is definitely a thing, right? Which is them sort of pairing the DLCs with things that are already in game, which is the neon band framework. It was such a delicious pairing, but also completely non-essential, because not only does Dark Future give you amazing sets of armor, some of the best. We might do an armor tier list by itself at some point, probably not soon given doing this right now, but they would be S tier armors for sure across the board. And beyond that though, because obviously I think some people could easily be like, they're not like how the paint job isn't pure black, but it is pure dark. It's like tactical black, right? It's got it's like digital camo texture as well, but I like that it's textured and kind of layered. It's not just, I don't actually need to be jet black. I still want a black Crag weapon paint job, don't get me wrong, but we do have the jet black armor in black Crag, and I think this is a really good version of it as well. So I think it's a fantastic concept and fantastic execution. We do need to talk about Gunner though. Now,
about it.
Well, I think you will realise once I explain, because obviously all of them have coloured accents on the armour aside from the lights. So, and that's something you'll see across all other armours with the paint job, right? Pretty distinct coloured accents for the class. Gunner, none. You don't get those green accents, don't exist. He's pure black. And I like that in itself, but that consistency doesn't make sense. That inconsistency. Is one of those things that really makes you want like an accented and unaccented version for all of them. But whether or not that changes like the value proposition, I find a bit dubious.
It is less significant than the Bosco. Like, like that only affects if you be using the base version of this, right? Like that's the only thing it changes. Like
No,
you don't put it on a paint job.
Well, no. If you use it's the Dark Future. I'm talking about the paint job.
All right.
So the armors aren't too relevant to this point. It's when you use any other armor, you've got the coloured accents across all the other classes, but Gunner, all his armor with Dark Future is just pure black. Unlike everyone else, where they have all of these accents that are
It is another one of those what the fuck were they thinking moments.
Yeah.
It isn't like all back. It sucks. It's just like if you have.
No, it's not. It's actually
like
really good. It's
like, yeah, it's just like if you had like all four of them had like a Dark Future look, which I'm sure you did. I remember back in the day, most of your fucking looks were Dark Future, just generally.
Yeah. I mean, that was a
it...
time though in Deep Rock where they hadn't gotten. Well, not that they hadn't gotten experimental with paint jobs necessarily, but there just wasn't enough of them for us to filter through and find like basically free like things that were free in the game that were comparable. That's only going to come with time, where they just added so much stuff that there will be things. So a pack like this, cosmetics like this, are always going to dominate early on, you know, and they did. And I think I agree that the paint job thing I just mentioned is insignificant in the sense of I don't think it changes anything about the value, as long as you know, and you could technically know that from the trailer, from the clip. So as long as you know exactly what you're getting, and you're probably not going to be bothered too much, I don't think there's a single discrepancy here in terms of what you're paying for and what you're getting. I don't think it falls. You kind of mentioned that right at the beginning, so I think I kind of, when I was thinking about this beforehand, I was expecting perhaps more shortcomings than there have come to be sort of pointed out. And I think that will change. I think there are some ones that dip below this sort of standard. I mean, most of them will, because I think we do need to utilize the S tier in some way, right? And I think we are saying this is better than MegaCorp. So, you know, yeah, okay. We got our first S tier, which is Dark View. And I think that makes perfect sense. And concept as well. Concept and execution on said concept is a massive part of this too. Just the sort of the dark, like basically special ops, like futuristic soldier, is perfectly executed in Deep Rock style with this. So,
oh my god, Dark Future came out during COVID.
It did. Does it feel older than that?
It feels so.
Yeah, it feels. Dark Future feels like something that came out in 2018. You know,
like during my childhood.
Yeah, when we started, it feels like it came out when we started playing.
Yeah,
and it makes you realise we were playing for a while before COVID and 1.0. It's like it's very weird. It's very weird. And I don't like it. Anyway, let's move on to our kind of first like update themed, I would say. So this definitely starts like what we'll see like seasons as well. When we get to those DLCs, it's like the Roughneck pack came out with the Roughnecks at Work update, so you know, very strong theming here, and sort of a nice like striking contrast to the previous ones, which were very like high tech and very corporate and uniform. The scrappiness, and the tattoos and all these things. It's a really good idea.
Tattoos.
It's a really nice.
A bit of a bait and switch thing, to be honest with you. Well, not bait and switch, but like. But seeing the tattoos on there, it made everyone get really excited, and ultimately they weren't anything, right? They were just that. This one skin has tattoos. Those are the tattoos. You can't change them or do anything with them. They added tattoos in only this form, and that's it. And it kind of felt rough.
Yeah.
It opened a door for a future of cosmetics, and then like never did anything with them. I mean, look at that.
Yeah, I know that screenshot's kind of devious, isn't it?
Yeah, that is it. That's the extent of tattoos in Deep Rock Galactic.
Yeah, I think this is where we're going to have the first discussion about whether or not something is like
I wouldn't
DLC
buy it again.
worthy. No, yeah, I think there were definitely aspects to it being one of the early. Terrible. Yeah, the helmets are bad. The helmets suck.
Helmets, they're completely pointless. Paint job, I think, also is often very bad.
I
It
like
has
the
a really
paint job.
weird color scheme.
I like the paint job quite a bit. I just don't think it's just not particularly special.
Other than and this is like the opposite of the one previously. Engineer, because of their choices during this, got it so much better. Because his like Hawaiian pattern thing is pretty fun and pretty interesting. Because you can put that Hawaiian pattern on other things using the, Roughneck's paint job. Like
Yeah.
but
Well,
can get pretty funny.
no. This is actually. I'm trying to actually think about this in more detail. I think that's not the case. I think it's when. Yeah, because this. I don't know if this introduces it or not. It technically doesn't, because of course, like all pre-existing armors, like the Mark 1s through 5, for example, technically have like built-in paint jobs that are what those armors are, but you can't get those as paint jobs, obviously. Roughneck's technically the same. The armor paint job that you get is not actually what the armors use by default. Which means that, and this is like, I think this is a value problem as well in this case, because it remains quite specific to engineer, because what that means is the Hawaiian shirt pattern doesn't carry over. What you have seen though, when you're getting this from, is like when someone uses the head wrap right on the Roughneck armor with the default paint job.
Yeah,
but that doesn't carry over to other armors if you use the Roughneck paint job. And I don't like that. I think that's annoying and like kind of just a weird. It's both a combination of like oversight, but also I think there's enough examples of this kind of thing where it's also not oversight at the same time. And it's rather an omission where it's just like, we're not going to go there for like. It's the same thing as like not making tattoos into their own thing. It's like, we'll put these in the pack, and I think those give the Roughneck pack some weight as well, because they're not part of the paint job. Luckily,
yeah, the armor frameworks
decent.
are definitely the only reason why you would get these, because they are solid.
I think. I know we don't really need to put too much weight on it, but we've got Bosco and Pickaxe paint job, and I think the Bosco one's pretty decent. Like the hazard lines, pretty good for Bosco.
So,
I don't think
Scouts.
Change. Yeah.
Scouts and engineers look pretty good, but
Gunner's is also different though, isn't it? Gunner is not as Roughneck. He's more like it's a bit more tactical, but that's kind of just in his nature. Also, I mean, Scout's fucking arm tattoo on his left arm. I mean, it's kind of crazy. The Mjolnir tattoo.
Yeah,
that's something. But yeah, we're starting to lose some.
I definitely
luster.
I would not buy this again.
Yeah,
I don't know how far the tier list goes. I can't think of what other ones are coming up. But
there's at least one where I think you'll say it again for sure. But did you say C? I think that's completely fair.
C or lower. It depends on how other things work.
Yeah, we'll start at C. We'll start at C, I think. But I don't think that's unfair.
I think D is like literally don't purchase this. Like,
and that's going to be really hard to. We'll just have to see about that.
Yeah, I doubt there might not be one in there. But,
no, and that's not a bad thing. Well, there's only one, and it'll be based on a very like weird like notion, and how seriously we take that notion. And you'll understand what I'm talking about, audience and Tyler, when we get to it. But next up is certainly not that, because next up is Dawn of the Dread.
Yeah.
Dawn of the Dread. Dawn of the Dread. Right, let's start with the first thing to talk about. Best concept, I think, for any of these, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Or just a great concept. It's a really great concept. And I think in terms of the actual delivery of like the design of the armors, it's also very good. So there is a lot that they get right initially. And actually, I'll jump to the next positive. These paint jobs are so fucking good.
Well, I think we should, because considering that this is an armor set, like pack.
Look at that shot. Look at that shit.
It is the paint job that you buy it for.
Yes,
because
it is.
The paint job is genuinely top 3 in game.
Yeah.
Like top, like I don't know what beats it. I'm sure something might, but I know that it is up there because I've never put it on anything and been like, oh my god,
Well,
this looks
it's
bad.
also
Like, it's always
perfection.
been straight fire.
It's perfection in terms of
And once
uniformity as
again,
well, though. There's no discrepancy between
that,
the armor and the weapons. There is only
that fucking look I mentioned earlier, this is it.
oh
This is the framework on him.
yeah,
But the framework, paint job, because
paint
the
job.
paint job is just the fucking goat.
Yeah. The only time
Because
it's like
also,
more stark, more
it's the
contrasting is Scout and Engineer. It's like quite bright undersuit colours, but it's still the same paint job. You expect them to
yeah
have the bright red and blue, I think, still work. They're just a bit more striking and contrast more. But it's
yeah
still, especially on like Gunner looks romantic. He looks
yeah, and it's on
sexual
Gunner
style.
because it's
Sexual.
on the head. Yeah,
Look at that
and
minigun.
it is just also the fact that the guns and the armor, they just match. No ifs, ands, or buts, right? They have the same framework. I keep fucking hate paint job. They just
Yeah.
it just works.
Obviously,
It's
it's
just
kind
a
of hard
pair,
because
and
obviously
it looks really fucking good.
these screenshots and clips don't show the armor paint job in isolation, but it's a massive part of it as well. But the armor itself is still should be talked about because I think they do get a lot right with the designs, but it still has a big problem. Of
Some of
course,
them, I
I think Drillers is really good. I think Driller and Engineers are
yeah,
really good.
my driller look, I do quite like, and I think I have like I don't know if I had like a really weird scout one because the scout's like got a bunch of legs coming out of his back
He
and it looks
does,
pretty
yeah,
weird, to be honest.
yeah.
But I kind of leaned into it, gave him a fucking snowman head, and he was kind of some weird fucker. But
They are
yeah,
good
and I
designs,
think
and
the
I think
headgears aren't.
they're not
They
great.
would work with that, but like they don't enough.
No, well, I think
Like,
I think the full face one is actually it's kind of cool, like the horn thing, and you can make it work with a look with the paint job. So you can use them across other armors if you're brave enough.
yeah, but not the half one. The half one
Yeah,
fucking blows.
I still think they're
Like,
cool, but they are the weak part of this DLC.
yeah,
And that has a lot to do with colors. This is a really big forced color conundrum. Where
yeah.
it's like I
There
completely
is very very little space that you can like
yeah,
change
yeah.
in there.
We have to completely respect the fact that it would be like I'm sure this was a very intentional creative decision where not only would it have been probably quite difficult, more so than normal, to map the colors on to these bits of armor, but also I think they just don't. I imagine that there was a decision made where it's like these will look weird with other paint jobs on, but the problem is when it comes to DLC, I personally believe they should embrace the full breadth of customization, and that should be up to us, really. To be honest.
I also I
Obviously,
find it weird
the
that
default would look like this.
I
You'd
find
still
it
be able to
weird.
have them look exactly like this, But I
Yeah,
want to be able to
I
color
find it weird
that
that they're
those
green,
glyphid parts.
considering you can see the dreadnought there. There ain't much green there.
Yeah, that's another reason why it's weird.
Like,
It's not that much
why
of
is
like
it not
a
like black and red?
well, yeah. I mean, if it was
Why
like
is-
based on the colors of the dreadnoughts more properly, especially with
Which
the
you
new
would
ones
assume it
being
is,
added,
that's the
because
point,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And it was very, very like good theming as well with the timing. It was obviously the new like on the New Horizons update, but that added the new dreadnoughts. It was a great idea too. So I think that, but also more tattoos in this one as well, like immediately. So it's like it feels like it's being like
Yeah, I
teased.
guess. Yeah.
It's like, oh come on, man. I think I actually like these tattoos almost a little bit more. Like I like that. Look at that. Look at that guy. But I
Because
think all the
that's my
stuff.
driller, which I think is the only one that works with it. He's like a barbarian because I think that's
I
what you
think the
kind of
driller armor is
lean
actually
into with
really
it.
good. I think
Like a red fire barbarian.
absolutely. But I think all that being said, I think there are still a lot of strengths there. There's just one big discrepancy, and the paint jobs are so strong. I still think this is probably about an A tier.
Yeah, I genuinely, most of the rest of the content about like B to C is not that great. Like, would never really use. But the paint job is just such a must-have. it basically you just buy it for that, right? And it's still the same price, right? It's still like £6.
Yep.
So it is like genuinely, it is alone worth about that much.
Yeah, I genuinely think it's one of. It's like if it was just a paint job, I think it would be like like and it's objectively speaking, I think you could knock £1 off, and that would be a fair price for just the paint jobs, like £5.
Yeah.
Because it's like that premium. Obviously, you could argue that it's not, because it's like, it's not silver, it's not gold. It's better than that, though. I think it's such a tasteful combination of like really like rich, like and unexpected colors, and it works wonders to just make you look gorgeous in game. So, hats off to Dawn of the Dread. You do have one big pitfall, but you make up for it as well, because you brought damn near the best paint jobs in the game. It's time. Let's flip the paint job thing around now. With Rival Tech. I think that's what it's called. Yep. Rival Tech. Yeah. So
seasons have begun.
Season has begun. A very obvious theme here. Believe it or not. Yeah, Rival Tech. So we're going to see the paint jobs in a minute, I think. Obviously, we've seen on the weapons, but I think I am thinking of the armor as well, because you know why you're buying this, and at least this time it's the main feature of the pack. I guess we can say that. You're buying it for the framework, and good Christ, does it deliver. On the concept, and the amount that it changes the weapons, it's just like, it's got it. It's got it. It's great. But then that paint job is just
the paint
fine.
Jobs suck ass.
You might even say suck ass. I like the under texture, like the circuitry detailing in grey.
The under texture.
The under. Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't just copy you. I should just.
Yeah, you be a bastard. Get your own words. No, yeah. I mean, it kind of is like the opposite. Well, not the opposite, but the Rival Tech framework. I said it slowly, so I made sure I got it right. Brought up the level of cosmetics.
No boss code
on the guns to a level that I don't think they've been able to match again since. I still think that this is the most they have, the furthest they have pushed the weapons designs in the game so far.
I think in terms of like how far the concept strays from what the weapons are, I think there are actually arguably ones that do change them as much, but it's not in such a. It's not in this manner. It's not in this. It's not. They don't look like this.
Big chunks. Completely remove some things because they've got like floating parts to them, like stuff like that. Like, I think.
I want to see the cryo
that alone is really good. The only problem is, it's not really much that pairs well with them. If you get what I mean, like. I mean,
well, yeah,
you kind of can. Obviously, you can.
Well, you either fall into not much does or kind of everything
like
does.
Rival armor, which would have really fucking like synced it, made it all come together.
I know.
Like, if you had armor that was like floating and sci-fi and shit, then you would really be able to have like a super cool sci-fi looking dwarf.
There are concepts for that as well. There's concept art for that I've seen. It's just what guys. Come on.
I think people did it when it like came out.
No, I've seen it. I've seen their concept art for it. I've seen.
Oh,
it's just like, guys,
that's nasty.
It is nasty. It's annoying, but
especially since what do we even? We'll get to it, but we'll get season 2. It wasn't that, but yeah, I do think framework. I think because we've already talked about it in a framework tier list. I should have done that, right?
We've done it twice,
and I should put it. Yeah, quite highly because it is quite highly good.
Quite highly good.
Like,
well done. No, it's fantastic. It's a fantastic framework. It's insane. I mean, look at the cryo. I think the cryo cannon and the minigun are like special cases as well. They look insane. It's kind of hard to establish that from here, but it was.
I actually really like how the M1000 looks.
It's good. Oh, the M1000 is really good. I mean, they're all.
I mean, most of them are really good.
Yeah. I don't think any of them are bad either. I think there are differences, but that kind of just some of them just fall into. Look at that. Look at the crack.
Yeah, because like even some of the ones where it normally the frameworks actually struggle to do anything to, like the breach cutter, for example, right? Some of them really struggle to change the breach cutter because it's a lot more frameworky, meshy. Like there's not much to grab a hold of. They managed to do quite a lot with it still, and have lots of floating parts. I mean, it looks like the sludge pop there really doesn't get it too good, to be honest with you.
No.
I think it mainly focuses on the back and then a tiny bit on the nozzle.
Well, yeah. So they're not like entirely made equal. I think we're still probably looking at around a B overall for Rival Tech.
Yeah,
I think if
everything
you like,
else is super weak.
yeah, I think if you like the paint, if you like the framework enough, if you really love the framework, I think it's still a fair purchase. If
These are still 6 quid, right? So you're not getting ripped off.
exactly,
So
I think it's like if you really though you just kind of just really don't like all the other parts of it, it might be a tiny bit steep, perhaps, if the only thing you care about is the framework. I think say something else. Oh yeah, well, there's the armor thing. I mean, I think it's fair to say that when it comes to armor, it's kind of a case of you either it either barely works for you, or you kind of just let it work with anything. You know, you kind of just let it pair with any armor.
I will go back a second. That is also a problem with the Dawn of the Dread. The armor doesn't pair well at all with Glyphid Trophy Hunter, which is what you kind of. They're similar concepts, but they do not mesh, like visually. Like the green of the armor mixed with the brown of
the shit brown.
This is hardly the first time they created a pack that doesn't really pair with anything else they've made.
No, that's about to change though.
I think this one gets it off. Yeah.
So we'll keep Rival Tech in B. But next on the chopping block is, well, we'll see where this goes. But it's of course.
I remember now.
You remember? What is it then?
I remember now because I was thinking, why didn't they do a Rival Tech armor for season 2? And then I just remembered, oh yeah, they paired it up with the past stuff, which was Wasters.
Yeah.
Because they did Rebellion.
Yeah.
Which I really like.
It is good. It's good. That's the nice thing about it. I think most people would have preferred a Rival Tech armor, but what you get from Robot Rebellion, at least, right, is how well it pairs with an in-game framework. Like, and I think that's
because they literally that was on purpose, which is why we were theorizing at the time that we would get the rival armor in game as rewards for completing the pass, but they never did that.
But as soon as season started, they became allergic to adding armor in game until season 5, and even then they added it in the anniversary prior. So they still haven't really added an armor in a DLC in game, like for unlockable. It's just a weird version.
Event ones for some reason.
Yeah, but Robot Rebellion is, I think, like pretty great across the board. To be honest, it's a very strong concept that's delivered. I think. Well, I mean, the concept is not the strongest part, but it's still delivered very well. It's, I think, at least helmets.
I really like the half mask, which is why I have it on currently on my little dude. That's my main character's main helmet.
Nice. Oh yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess I'm not too sold on some of the armor.
No. I think Engineer looks great.
Engineers and Scouts are pretty fucking fire. I think the lone survivor look they give off. It's like
I think I think Driller is probably the weakest, unfortunately, because it's the most generic.
Yeah, because they just keep doing the same thing with Driller ones. They're just like, take his shirt off, and then give him like big trousers and a waistcoat.
Yeah,
or some shit like that.
I like Gunner. I like Gunner because he's like a jagged. He's like a jagged tank. I like that vibe. I still wish he had his other sleeve, but once again, that's their choice. I do use it. I've got that amazing Hulk Hogan look. Do you remember that one? It's with the Dawn of the Dread skin as well. It looks incredible. It looks marvelous.
Right. Yeah.
So I think the arms are very strong. I think the paint job is decent. I think what Robot Rebellion really gets right is adding a really good armor that pairs with an amazing framework in game.
Good.
But the paint jobs are just fine. They don't have the pedigree of a DLC paint job, but they're still good paint jobs, I guess. So, but overall, it's just a strong DLC, and it's got consistency in game that is actually kind of admirable and not seen too much really. Because we have another example of that, but it's across 2 DLCs, which is what's coming up. But this is something that's just unlockable in game. It's just like you either get all the waster frameworks, and it's like then along comes something that pairs with it, and it's like very tempting to buy, or you buy, or nowadays you buy Robot Rebellion, and then you see that in the Season 1 pass you can get frameworks that match perfectly with it. So maybe then you buy Robot Rebellion, and then you also go and get them on the pass. It sort of creates a bit of an incentive too to create these looks. And even then, I think they pair well with some of the other sort of scrap, like mechanized. If you ever end up using, I don't know why, it's not that strong of a pairing, but where I actually use, forgive me everyone, where I use Infected, the framework, it is actually with Engineers Robot Rebellion, because it's just like this wastelander who's like it's like the idea he's like found like an infected gun that like doesn't kill him, so he's like using it, I guess. Yeah, it's a pretty strong. I think just for consistency, like its achievement in like consistency and just fairly strong delivery on concept is in a very good category. Could be an A, could be.
I think it's A.
Yeah.
I think it's A.
Like, it's just respectable enough,
not
you know.
Flawless,
no,
but it has a strong combination there and then, and yeah, you can pair it with other things within that. Like I do think mechanized is solid. As
exactly.
like a alternate.
Yeah, you could also say thank God we didn't end up getting a builder's choice armor.
Well, we basically Roughnecks kind of is how I've perceived it.
Roughneck is like, I always saw that as mechanized, to be honest. Or custom, like honestly
maybe.
anything, like literally Roughnecks custom engineered, mechanized, and standard like stock. Like I think Roughneck does at least have where it does pair well with most frameworks, because it's not the most unique armor. Anyway, we now get onto, actually at least it's broken up by something actually. Because I'm about to say we get onto the Rockpox era, but it is still technically broken up by something. But that starts with, of course, Biohazard. The Biohazard pack. There it is. Yeah. This is going to be a taste issue, because I do really like the armors. I'm just going to say it straight away. I think the armors are actually very, very well done.
The armor is definitely the best part of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I have it on a couple characters because it's funky. It's nice. But the framework and helmets do not hold up.
He means paint job, guys. Don't worry.
Yes, I do. Yeah, paint job. Paint job like that. Those. It'll be like fine if that mixed with anything other than that. Like this, if you're not running 100% this look, none of it works. Right? Other than the armor, like mask. I don't think I've ever. I mean, I haven't played much, admittedly, but I've used. You don't play much with people. I'm not.
Have we seen many people wearing these? No, because we haven't seen anyone.
Yeah, that was kind of the point I was trying to avoid saying out loud. But it is true, though. It's not a mask you see often. But the armor, you kind of do. I remember seeing the armor fairly often.
Well, the armor's great because it's got something going for it. First of all, I do think the designs are actually very strong, and I think they're cool. I like these ideas. These look like DRG, like high-tech combat hazmat suits, I guess, is the way to put it. But they do something where when you look at the armor, the thing that is most like dominant, which is the cyan part or the teal parts, which is the undersuit, that is like, I think it uses your secondary color. So it does a really cool thing where it kind of flips how paint jobs are typically applied to your armor in terms of what the most dominant colors are, which actually creates like really interesting looks compared to other armors that I really like. It's actually really cool. And it's actually one of the better aspects of this DLC is the way the armors are mapped like to the paint jobs. It actually creates something interesting in terms of playing with customization. I will say something though. I do think the helmets are pretty good too. In fact, I like the half face more as well. It looks like a pog face there though.
Yeah, this thing is like, oh.
I like the half face quite a bit, and I still think the full face one is like that's like a cool kind of like futuristic, like gas mask kind of thing. It's not too bad. But yeah, overall I agree that the armors hold it up. I think the paint job's decent, but not DLC tier. Basically, to be honest. And I think that holds back the armor too, because I think the armor is, but it looks less DLC worthy with that paint job, you know? But that armor, they clearly put a lot of work into it, and I think it's actually a fair DLC. Fair. I think fair is a good word, right? Fair enough, just about. Probably B tier. But I definitely like the armor more than B tier, personally. So that's probably still where it belongs, right?
Well, see.
No, but I think. Well, is that what you think? Because I was saying B.
I mean, I have actually loaded it up to see how many I use it on. I use it like twice. I guess it isn't too bad. But like, I wouldn't buy it again. Especially considering the weapons you pair it with aren't great.
No. Well, that will be factored in. So, are you feeling a C?
I wouldn't buy it again. Would you?
So what do we really mean by buy it again? Do you sort of mean like if we
say
would buy
we
it?
lose our account,
Oh,
or we have to create a PC account? Would you buy it again?
well, I'm not. Well, I think it would have to be losing the account though, because I'm moving to Deep Rock and PC is a bit dubious anyway, because even me, I wouldn't feel the need to have. Or if I get Deep Rock on PC, it's probably just going to be to play with mods.
Yeah. Then you lose it. We don't need to get to that.
Okay, I lose it. Biohazard. Yes, I would buy Biohazard again.
All right, then you can put it in B as long as that looks right with you.
Yeah.
What else is in B? Because I can't see it.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're not allowed to see it today. At least we don't have to go immediately down like the direct hole, like straight away again, because we get to talk about a bit of a surprise, although it was for the 5th anniversary. So in retrospect, not surprising that they did something, which is of course Supporter Part 2, or just a Supporter. I don't know why I always call it Part 2, but the Supporter 2. They definitely locked in a little bit, I think. They wanted to do something special with these frameworks. Let's be honest. We'll give them that. I feel like I've barely seen the cryocannon one. That feels weird. I feel like I haven't seen the cryocannon with that framework before. Mine's same.
I mean, I never use it.
Whatever. That's not the point. The point is, they went for luxury. And I think they achieved it as well. It comes with some of the same things as one of the same things. You get the badge too, but it's a different mug. It's for Oily Oath. I think the mugs might be a bit much though. it's a bit excessive. The helmets are decent. Just imagine though if they inherited hair color.
Yeah, which is what we were hoping for, especially when they showed 2 of them.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why are you showing 2? But I think they did something here. They did something with colours and designs that is sort of the most DLC looking, I think, that any of them have been, to be honest.
What's the price on this one? Is it back to
the bigger one? It's $11.39. I think it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the same price as the first quarter.
I think I only have it on one character, and I don't like it, and I've never liked it, and I'm trying to trying to make it work, but I just can't. I genuinely think that it just doesn't look good more often than not. Like, I mean, the framework is fine. Like, I mean, it's really what it is. I think it's fine if you're going for like an all gold thing, except there's also a different gold than all gold, so it looks different. But
It's
like
a bit more brassy.
I don't think
than gold.
I've ever managed to make a look that looks good with this. Like it just doesn't sit right.
I think that's
I don't know why.
a slightly dubious concept because, of course, I think that's actually fair when you look at what's in game and what's pairable. I think there's another frustrating framework disparity that I think is a flaw with this DLC. It's like, no, the weapons, they should look exactly like the armor with the paint job. That like gold with like the rose like patterned on it. The fact that they just like don't put it on the weapons. That's a shortcoming. The framework.
Alright, I
now,
might have to take everything I just said back. I've completely forgotten about the Order of the Deep. I forgot that was even a thing because I basically stopped playing by the time I got on it. Holy shit, he looks majestic with this hat and a Lord of the Deep, Order of the Deep.
I've got one of those.
Dig.
I've got one. I think I might actually have it in the framework or in the tier list template. I'm actually going to bring him in to.
He now looks like some kind of mighty general kind of thing.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm actually going to show you this. I'm going to show everyone this because it's actually very easy for me to show. This is where the paint job really came into its own for me. Look at this guy.
Yeah.
Scout.
I mean, mine's on engineer. But...
It's one of my faves. Anyway, back to business. Well, obviously, I mean, we got to talk about the framework though, in the sense of you can acknowledge like how like luxurious it is. Obviously, they really went for it at least.
Yeah, they definitely went for that.
And it's like I think it's actually a comparably extreme change to the weapon designs as Rival Tech. To be honest, it's just a very different idea, and I do really like it. It makes sense for what it is, right? This like luxury supporter like pack. It's slightly more expensive. It's obviously it's kind of you can see it's a little bit shallow because it's like, oh, look at all the gold and shit. That's why it's expensive. But it's just the concept of like luxury and decadence and like just celebration, I guess. And I think it really fit the idea and it felt like the right thing to do at the time for like the 5th anniversary. It's like, yeah, this is a really nice, grand looking thing to give people the option to buy, to show support.
I'm just going to realise that most of this is just from the Order of the Deep armor that I really haven't paid enough attention to how fucking good it looks.
Well,
because I haven't had any dwarves to put it on because they didn't fucking give us any more loadout slots.
What's a loadout slot tier list?
We could do our own dwarf tier lists.
We could do something.
I
do think we. Well, obviously, we did a fashion show a while ago, but that was kind of whack because we just looked through the fucking fashion subreddit. I do think we should do something with our own dwarves, to be honest. I don't know how we would do it. That's because obviously, if we had the means, I think it'd actually be a cool live stream with like voting, but we don't have the means to do that. We don't have the numbers. It's like, but I want to do something with that at some point. But in terms of rating it, because obviously you clearly don't hold this one in that high regard, and obviously it's got a price thing going on too.
Yeah, a higher price. Like, only really the mug is the unique part of it. Like, it's the only way that makes it more special than other things. Than the previous, like, most other DLCs.
And well, I think the paint jobs are strong. There is a bit of a consistency issue as well. But I think surely it is more valuable than the first one, right? With the framework in tow.
The opposite?
Why would it be the opposite?
Because I don't think the framework is. I barely use it anymore. I guess I don't actually use the gold one either that much anymore.
Yeah, but even then, I
think I figured it out. Escale Brigade killed the original supporter.
Yes, that's right. but Scale Brigade didn't have a weapon paint job, unfortunately. So stupid.
Hello. Yeah.
But what Scale Brigade has instead is Dark Future and Fourth Relic. That Scale Brigade on armor, Fourth Relic, Dark Future weapons. One of the best things I've ever seen. It's kind of awesome. Well, I think the only solution here then is to actually put it in the same boat. I do think the framework obviously gives it more value, especially because I personally think the paint jobs are better too, right? They're not promising like pure gold anyway. So, but I think they are quite tasteful, like nice looking paint jobs. So, I don't feel the need to put it above, but if you don't like it enough, I think ending up in the same place, which is B tier, is fine. I think for the next two, we're not going to be. I think B tier is closed off for the rest of this after this anyway. So, I think does that sit right with you? I can't imagine you could be fighting for a low ranking.
No, yeah, B's fine. It's just yeah.
That is what B
Just
is.
hoping for. It's hard to say better when it's so like resplendent and fancy, but it's like I don't know. I don't know many things I can do with this.
Yeah. Well, I found like an okay way to use it was
like using the helmet with any other look.
Yeah, the helmet's a bit of a trickster, but obviously you saw my guy.
That's what I'm trying. That's the main goal. I'm trying to make the helmet work, and I basically use the pure white facial hair, of like leaning into it. Like that is his hair, or it makes sense. It looks alright, but then it's just so difficult to find armor that works with it.
Yeah, as far as like the framework, making the framework work, I've had the best success with actually just finding small parts to like headgears that just have a bit of some kind of similar vibe. Like I've got an engineer. It's mainly because he has gold skin, right? That's the through line that brings the look together with gold and makes the gold on the weapons make sense. So, but even then, it's not it's not the cleanest look necessarily either. But there's still enough going for it and enough effort that's on display from that one to keep it in the relatively positive zone. Next one, however, because I think we've got to move on. Maybe not as much, because I don't even remember what the next one is inherently.
Yeah, it's the one so bad they had to redo it, right?
Yeah, so we've got to talk about Decontaminator. Yeah. I don't really know where to start.
Yeah.
Because I still like these frameworks a fair bit overall as frameworks. I think they're decent to possibly even, I might even say like fairly strong framework designs. But there is that caveat. If they weren't DLC. I don't think they're quite DLC worthy. I certainly think when we look across the board, with certainly taking the paint jobs into account, but I'm pretty sure, I don't think I use these paint jobs at all. I don't think they're bad. I think the weapon ones are okay. Looking at them there, like the metallic orange. I think the armors though, not as much. So yeah. Now, it's slightly cheaper. It's $5.79. So obviously we're going to talk about it, but do we want to talk about? Do we want to factor in that fiasco? Because obviously these started as. In fact, I think it's fair to try and find the original post about that, because it means we can actually see. I think we can see what they were going to look like as well. Also, there's some drama going on with this fucking mug. We're not talking about that. Go watch Axis Cronus' video.
I've heard that the prices, and it's only one mug. Like they're only making the, I think, gold thing, right?
Well, it's like there's a tier where you're supposed to get like 4 mugs, and you're kind of meant to get all 4, like one of each, but they haven't reached the milestones to get the colours. So you just get 4 of the one that they currently have, which is the pots of gold. So yeah, there's something wrong with that. DLC update. Anyway, so here it is. The original version I guess we can kind of just look at these first of all. Yeah, weaker. Overall, we can even play the trailer. And it was weird because I don't think the difference isn't insane though, is it? It's not actually like an insane difference, to be honest.
No, they just tacked on like a bunch of doodads, right? That's the main thing that they did with the new stuff, and they changed the colors actually.
Well,
Because
they
I think
made
people thought this color is ugly.
these colors are more ugly. At least they got added. I still think that was a nice move on their part. This stuff still got added to the game, which is that's a good example of how they operate. But yeah, this is still a weird thing that happened. People, I don't really want to look at the comments though. But either way, in fact, I guess we can actually look at the post that comes after about the update. We've been following along your feedback. Turns out a good chunk of you didn't feel it was up to our usual standards. In particular, the weapon framework itself and paint job. Apparently, they had a nagging feeling too, and the feedback confirmed this. I think I believe that. I don't think that's like covering for themselves.
I don't doubt they had a nagging feeling through season 4, mate.
Yeah, exactly. This is going to be the difference between season 4 and 5 as well. It's going to be really put into perspective once again in this video. We literally have a DLC that they had to patch for season 4.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't want to dwell too long on this matter though, but obviously, all in all, there's only so much you can do for a DLC that was so badly received that they had to change it anyway. Like there's only so much that can improve by. So it still winds up being on the weak side of DLCs. Let's be honest. So let's just cut to the chase. Are we going to put this in the bottom because I don't feel that?
Because I think it's something we haven't mentioned too much from now, but like the weapon frameworks, because it hasn't been that much armor, but the weapon frameworks in game that you get during the pass kind of have been a pretty solid quality, right? Like wasters are like wasters. I don't like builder's choice, but a lot of people do, including
well, hold
you.
on. I mean, are you sure about what you're saying? When you think about them.
What do you mean?
Well, because obviously, mil-spec's good, but then you get infected, right?
Yeah, well, which is this season though, right? Until this season, because season 4 fucking was bad in every single way. All three things we got on from the season, wasters, builder's choice, mil-spec, were all very solid, and to be honest with you, as good as early DLC ones. Like mil-spec and that, not mil-spec.
Well, no, I think I think mil-spec is comparable to MegaCorp.
Exactly, that's what I meant.
Okay.
But I said mil-spec, I meant MegaCorp. I do think they're all as good as original stuff. But then once they added, they added wasters, which was really, really good weapon framework to the game. They then had the DLC of Rival Tech, which I think brought DLCs a tier above. Right, because they kind of needed to. Because if you're paying for them, they should be a tier above, and this was not that. These were as good, and in my opinion, worse than the ones you were getting for free in the game.
Yeah.
Which for DLC, right, which is why they changed it. They improved it because with how it was just worse.
Yeah. Do you know what I think?
It was just worse.
Do you know what I genuinely think?
Now it's like about the same level as the free stuff.
I think they shouldn't have made the change, and they should have actually. Well, what they should have done is actually swapped the two. Now, this would have involved upgrading the infected framework quite a bit. I'm not sure how exactly they would have done that because obviously it's a bad framework. But either way,
they were like weeks away from launching. They couldn't really. Do that much.
I know. I just mean if they had more foresight, it's one of their unfortunate problems. But
if they had more foresight, they wouldn't have launched season 4.
Biohazard should have probably not been changed and probably should have just been the pass framework, because what you have across Biohazard and Decontaminator is a paired look that is purely constructed by 2 separate DLCs, right? If they were one together at a slightly higher price, that'd be cool.
The 2 full prices.
Yeah. I really hope that there should be like an offer really that combines the 2, like a reduced price.
Well, there's an offer that combines all of them.
Yeah,
I think you can scroll down to see. But maybe that'll be the final thing. Real rate. Should you buy the full pack?
Yeah, we'll do that at the end. But it's like obviously the best thing about the previous dichotomy of the DLCs across season 1 and 2 was that you got the framework to pair with one of the armors, the DLC armor in season 1. You get Waster in season 1, and you get an armor DLC. In this case, they're both DLCs, and they're not as good either as Waster, right? So if this had been in the game in the past, that would have been a completely different and actually very commendable thing, or just like a very nice thing to keep up, right? A cool thing that had kind of already happened, and they kind of do it again. And it kind of just wasn't that. So even if we don't put it at the bottom, I think just with everything surrounding it and how it's not amazing anyway, it still probably winds up being the weakest DLC. But I like the framework enough, and I think about Roughneck. I don't think it's like worse than Roughneck, you know? No. So
I do not think anything is going to be in D.
No. Okay.
But
So
I
we
would
got
definitely not buy this.
No,
Like,
I probably wouldn't.
I mean, even originally, I was like, I wouldn't buy this if it wasn't for the fact that I will buy anything they release. I think I'm pretty sure we were of that frame of mind on this.
Well, I mentioned that earlier.
I
mentioned
knew
there was
going
one
into it that I would not care for.
Yeah. It's purely obligational, to be honest. This one, like I might not even. I mean, honestly, I'm gonna be honest. The one I would be least likely to buy again is Roughneck, though. For me, I don't use the armor enough, and I don't love anything else about it either. So, for me, Roughneck might just be the worst. Luckily, especially because you might have noticed we haven't been using a Wheel of Fortune for this one. We just got in chronological order, and that means you get to track the journey of DLCs in a particular manner that results in a good ending. I think it's the good ending, which is of course one that Mr. Order of the Deep. Oh,
yeah. I just noticed this right now. How much would you give to have the environment they're standing in?
What? How would that even? How'd that work?
I don't know, but like, look at the fucking place they're in.
I know. It's like
Mordor.
like work went into that.
Mordor.
No, not maybe Erebor. Is that actually what you're thinking of as well? Like the
I don't know,
dwarven
space dwarf place.
However,
looks like a dwarven ship.
Let's jump ahead a bit. This one's actually more expensive. It's $8.99.
Yeah.
In this case, and I think there's a combination here. It's a bit of a celebratory thing, like a slight donation aspect, but it's also like it's the first DLC and in a while, and probably the last one in a while. I genuinely think there's a small business aspect there where it's like, I think, but then it's like
sales were down.
Yeah, and it's also like that. Well, if we probably should raise the price. That might be a good idea. So let's justify it as well. I think it teeters, but doesn't fail. I think it is actually a fair price. I think this is overall a really great DLC. You know?
Yeah,
it just is.
The armors hold up. I mean, my only problem is that for some reason they decided some of them get like weird half capes instead of full capes, and it was the big guys. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, like, I don't think they are.
Don't know why they're so inclined to do weird. They're like, no, not all of them should have big capes. That wouldn't make sense. So what? Who fucking came up with that?
The capes are like the only thing that are weird, but they're still there, and they never don't work because they don't. The capes are forced colors, unfortunately. They are lucky.
I think that's for the best.
Yes. I just couldn't because that's just not how it works. But
they've actually returned back to the original color scheme. I think they should never have had it so you could literally not tell what a dwarf was. I still think they could have looked good, but
we do. They also it's just the laser pointer does that, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, let's just look at everything. So paint jobs. Very strong, sort of like decadent, sort of mixing the class colours with like a very strong metallic colour. The paint job's nice, although I'm going to go to the paint job exactly the same as Supporter 2. Like, it is. It actually is. But in isolation, though, I don't have a problem with that because it's a very nice paint job. And it works well. You can transfer the paint jobs of the armour and weapons across any frameworks and armors, right? It all works across the board, That's another great thing about it. Another thing,
Plus,
frameworks.
Bosco.
Well, yeah, Bosco, 2 Bosco frameworks, right? 2 Bosco frameworks. Helmets, brilliant. Great helmets. They're amazing.
Just
Both
straight
of them,
up
even.
medieval knight helmets. Just
like a tech knight
with laser eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Absolutely. Like, it looks like the Blood Dragon armor from Mass Effect, which I think is actually based on something from Dragon Age. But it's like a glowing visor though. It's like knight armor, but it's got a glowing visor. It looks like that to me. And the armors themselves look fantastic, and they do pair not with like insane precision necessarily, but they do pair with the Season 5 framework though. The Neotech, quite well. It's similar shapes and like sort of like neon lines, but not in the way that Neon Band is. They match pretty well together, and it's in the same season.
And I would even say it doesn't not work with Rival Tech. It's
the best armor. It's the best armor for Rival Tech, I think.
Yeah.
And Bosco looks good as well. But 2 Bosco frameworks. The point is, they also look pretty good. It's actually a really good Bosco framework. I like both of them.
Nothing here misses.
Helmet. Yeah.
The simple fact of the matter, there are no misses, and the armor is very, very strong.
It's just so bitter that it took like what our circumstances are for them to go this hard with Season 5. You know, it's just like it's so cool, but it's always a bitter pill.
It's like Season 5 was basically them saying, "We actually do know what you guys want. See ya."
Yeah, I know, but at least they
added
did
everything that we wanted them to.
But they did do so well.
Not even yeah, and then they fucked off for 2 years.
Yeah, but anyway, I think rough. As far as the DLCs go, I think so. Yeah, I mean, we talked about all this, and it has the slightly higher price point, but I don't think that changes much.
I think it kind of does. It doesn't actually have more than any of the other ones of the other original price.
No, not much more. I mean, technically, the only thing is like a Bosco framework, but it's like, and as good as it is, it's not a big increase in.
There are probably quite a few a lot of players that have never seen Bosco. Bosco shouldn't be part of that equation. It's
doesn't
2
even know
solo
who he
matches.
Is.
And one was only because I crashed halfway through. Someone crashed halfway through.
I love that counted as a solo match. Yeah, so that's actually I see. That makes it difficult for me because we have some kind of agreed that it does have a certain level of just sort of perfectionism. It's like execution, implementation. It's got like consistency with everything in game and with itself. Like the paint jobs all work together across different armors. The armor works with the season framework. All the actual individual cosmetics themselves that are modeled are fantastic. But it's almost like, apart from Dark Future, you can kind of see drawbacks in all the others that make them not quite worth their price, right? So maybe
it does
maybe Order of the Deep is maybe Order of the Deep is perfection for the normal price point, right? So
yeah, like it does feel like in game, sure there are quite a few stinkers, cosmetic wise, right? Especially within the past, you'll get like purple bandana, and that's it. It's like, what the fuck were they thinking?
I choose to take that as a personal insult. Still, I choose.
Yeah. I do also at the same time. There are things in game for free that are better than basically anything these DLC give. Like anything in A, like. I mean, this helmet is really fucking good, but I mean, even in Season 5, that helmet near the end, like that looks fucking awesome.
Forge Lord.
And it's not the only one. There are quite a few other really good helmets, and it's like, what makes this helmet worth money? And it's like, well, it's not really the helmet; it's the armor. But it's like, but also, like this armor is good, but so is like. All this.
So is the Mark 6s. The Mark 6s added as well. So is the Scale Brigade that is also unlockable in game that is DLC worthy. Like Scale Brigade is 2 DLCs. literally, because they added a framework and the armor at the same time, and it's like
Yeah, and it's kind of like, it's just like you don't have to spend money on it, right? Yeah.
so.
Like,
Order of the Deep kind of does actually suffer from saturation, where as good as it is, it's kind of at a point
yeah,
where it's not beating out everything in game, even though it kind of
yeah,
at its price point it probably
the
should.
price up, and it's like, like back in the day when that original thing was added, that was it, dude. Like that was it. As mentioned when we talked about it, that was all you were running, and even I used a fair couple amount of them. I just didn't want to use too many because I didn't want to rely on it too much. But it was hard not to because it was so unparalleledly better back then that it made it worth the price. But at this point, Order of the Deep is very good.
Yeah,
It is. It just
it's
is
like
very good.
it's
It
not.
is
It's
worth
not.
the money.
It's not exceptional, but it's almost like it's perfect, but it's not exceptional. It's not rising above much else.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
just a perfect DLC.
Just,
But
you
then,
have to want to give Ghost Ship money to justify this being
yeah,
C and not just in the game.
yeah.
And so like
because of the nature of the list, though, I think these are good reasons to like not just give it an S tier out of like taste. Even then, like, it's not just a taste issue either, because there is a saturation there where it's not the strongest items in the game.
It's still very good, but like
A tier, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, I think A tier. I think because I think Dark Future, even now, it still holds up. It was just that when it was released, it was the shit. Meanwhile, this, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. All right.
So yeah, there's our list. I think that looks pretty swish. I'm quite happy with that, actually. It looks right. Obviously, you could say Dark Future doesn't look quite right, but it does. It is definitively a cut above MegaCorp, and that kind of
every single part of it is really good.
Yeah,
and it was mandatory back in the day. To be honest with you, if you wanted to look at certain looks.
Okay,
and even now,
let's look at the bundle.
I probably have one with the armor and like every of my fucking dwarfs. To be honest with you, it's such a good pick. And I don't know, yeah. And I guess it comes down to how much would it cost if you wanted to buy all of these?
So, oh god, so what is that though?
The deal.
You mean the deal?
It has it like in the underneath.
Well, I'm looking at it.
I think that's it, right? The Dwarven Legacy DLC bundle. It's right there.
Okay, so I need to sort of do some a bit more looking, because this is literally everything.
It's also the base game.
Yes, this is a game included as well. I don't know if it comes. So you save 11.24. That's not. It's not low.
The original price of the game is 22 quid.
I do want to know. I don't know if there is a thing that is just the DLC in a bundle.
I don't normally do that.
Master. No, I don't think that's a thing actually.
Yeah.
Discounts. Okay. All right. So I think it is the.
So
it's
basically, sure. I guess then we can fuck it. We'll lump it into it. Is this worth buying?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because obviously, I don't think we're going to dispute that the game is at a good price. 25 quid for Deep Rock is a very good price. Arguably quite cheap. But to immediately get that out the gate, I do not think is a good idea. To get this version of Deep Rock out, and we can consider even the time as well. We can consider the current day. I definitely wouldn't. I wouldn't buy this for someone. I would buy the game for someone.
If you were to spend £100 on Deep Rock right now, I think you'd be getting ripped off.
Yeah,
that's the simple fact of the matter.
You need to buy it on its own, maybe even ideally at a sale, and then just see what you make of it.
Let's be honest, it's often on sale, right?
It is.
This is probably a rare moment.
It was
where
on
it
sale.
On sale.
It was on sale like the other week for like 8 quid, and that was like, that's brilliant. That's an insane price for Deep Rock, really.
Actually, this probably went down to like 50 quid.
Yeah,
because they're just good.
but I don't
They're
think you should
just
spend
good.
£100 because you'll be getting so much that you don't know that if you're going to care about or not.
Yeah.
And
Which I guess
that's
is
not
what the
just whether or
series is
not
for.
that's not just whether or not you're going
If
to
you want
like
to
the
rifle through
items. That's whether or not you're going to
the
care about
Triangle
Deep Rock
Best.
enough to want those DLCs even. And it's also not just that. With season 5, Deep Rock's in a very good place of like jumping into it, how much there is to do for a beginner. Anyway, to work through the seasons and how much stuff there is to get and unlock. Just see what there is. You know, it's like don't need a DLC straight away. You don't need
get the game when it's on sale, and then if you notice that you want your dwarfs to look a certain way, and that there's a DLC that does that, like if you like dark tech stuff, then Dark Future is it, right? You really want to lean into the fantasy dwarf part of it, then Order of the Deep. Stuff like that. If you want to look bad, Roughnecks. Like there's something there for everyone.
you want to look like ass.
Yeah, you want to put the worst headgear on your head. Get that rough gear yellow helmet with the 17 on it. Go on. Either that or grind the season 4 battle pass and get the fucking purple bandana.
That's advice if anyone wants to fast track to the worst items in game.
Yeah.
Was it season 4 or 3? I don't remember. I feel like it might be 3 actually.
Season 4 was terrible and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the moral of the story is looking forward to Road Call.
And Road Call DLC.
Yeah. Even though there's no real confirmation on cosmetics and how they'd work.
No, not yet. Maybe soon. Anyway, so yeah, that is our DLC tier list. I think it's thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Blessings of Christ upon you.
A Valentine's Day gift to you.
Oh, my Valentine's gift day. What the fuck? My Valentine's Day gift to you is imminent.
That's ominous.
It's a missile. It's a missile.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's what's flying towards me.
I felt like we would have heard something. I should put in a. I should render this whole video again to put in a single explosion sound effect.
Just like a really scripted PNG artifacts.
I love the fact that still no one has mentioned I wanted to with the overclock balancing the big video. I really wanted to get a comment asking why they got peed on. Because of the thing at the end, the guy with the peas in his mouth.
The fact is that, Harry, no one ever reaches the end of our videos, so
someone came in with a comment that was like, "Oh, a 3-hour video essay on something I know nothing about. Let's go." It's like, I like that. And you can look forward to perhaps something in a similar vein. There might be a Electromindlet's hit piece on the horizon at some point.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Electromindlet.
Not super soon. I'm going to do quite a few showcases before then. I'm not going to save it for when I get randomly assigned Electromindlets as the next overclock to cover. Anyway, that's not the point. This is a DLC tier list. Please feel free. Actually, we encourage you to move your own thoughts. And if you enjoyed this, please make sure to like and subscribe. If you want to see more videos like this and you want to stay on top of everything to do with Deep Rock and not everything to do with Deep Rock, because look, I'm not going to talk about the mug in its own video because that's just an ad. You know, it's just an ad for third-party merch.
An ad read.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. But in general, if you want to stay on top of everything to do with the games, Deep Rock and Road Call, then click that bell as well. Thank you to our wonderful member Boxfoot Scoot as well for keeping the lights on. And we'll see you next week to talk about money. I think.
Yeah.
So
give us more.
Lead on from this topic, but in a broader form. We'll see you then. I'll see you on Tuesday, though. I don't want to say see you next Tuesday because that's quite rude, but it translates to can't. Bye.